Hi Taurus, welcome to your mid-November 2018 Tarot and Astrology reading. Thank you for all your likes and subscriptions. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel. So Taurus, I am hoping you're feeling somewhat renewed after that full moon in your sign at the end of October and you have shed some self-limiting beliefs, particularly with Venus, your ruler, retrograding both in your partnership sector and in your sector of day-to-day work, health, etc. It's maybe given you this real reassessment over what it is that you prioritize in your day-to-day life. What is the most important thing in your life at the moment, and are you taking care of yourself? How high up are you on that list? So we have a full moon in Gemini on the 23rd of November. Ooh! Which brings into focus your sector of income. And of course, the second house rules worth, whether it is financial, whether it is personal. And it's giving you a real clarity moment, because the events that unfold around the full moon will either reveal to you how well you treat yourself in your financial situation and what the link is between the two. Now, you are second house energy as a Taurus. Finance is in your blood. Money is in your blood. You're very financially aware. You're aware of money. You're aware of money's worth. Many Taurus go into finance. And if you notice your spending habits increase dramatically around the full moon, if it's making you feel somewhat insecure, then you know you need to look into why that is. What is making you feel insecure? Now, Venus retrograde will have ended. It ends on the 16th, though it goes into a shadow period. And the shadow period is not as intense, so it's nothing to worry about. Venus does go direct on the 16th. Mars moves into Pisces on the 15th, which for you is your 11th house of friendships and networking. Mars can be a positive or aggressive energy. It can be used either way depending on your overall chart. But Mars is giving you a drive to put yourself out there and make your opinions heard when it's in this sector. You seem to have been working on yourself. Some of you, with this card as it rules education, may still be in education. You may be in university, you may be in high school, you may be taking night courses. Some of you are furthering your education, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in an institute. It could be that you are learning more about yourself and learning more about astrology, or you're learning more about, with Sagittarius, Sun and Jupiter moving into Sagittarius, which is your 8th house, you could be learning more about astrology and the occult. The Sun's there, the new moon in Sagittarius will be there in December. So you probably are getting into the mystical more so. It's very much 8th house energy is what I'm getting from this. Now, the King of Wands is in the middle, so you could be dealing with a fire sign person, could be a Leo, Sagittarius, and Aries. It doesn't have to be. It can represent the entrepreneur in your life, whether that's another person or whether that's yourself. Maybe that's what you're working towards, Taurus. The star is assisting you this month, which is beautiful energy to have. It's all about wish fulfillment and beliefs in your dreams, belief in yourself. The star is all about having hope. If you've been going through a difficult time, it's a welcome reprieve. And as I say, with the full moon in Gemini in your sector of worth, you are being asked to realize who it is you really are and what is important to you. What makes you judge yourself? What makes you compliment yourself? Do you ever compliment yourself? Ace of Cups is in the challenge. I'm feeling like the answer to that is no. You're not giving yourself enough love and attention, Taurus. And here we have the 6 of Cups, which is that gorgeous nostalgic energy. Some of you may be traveling home. Some of you may be thinking about home, and some of you may be dealing with a specific person from your past. Could be friendship, as I say, with the Sagittarian energy and the Piscean energy. But it could be a lover. It could be a romance, and it could be a fire sign specifically because of the King of Wands. But let's see what's underneath before we delve in a little bit deeper. The world. Okay, Taurus, it could be somebody globally. Someone in a different country. I think when the world comes up, it could be that you're getting closure on a situation from the past that wasn't resolved, but It could also be that somebody's coming back around again to begin a new cycle. Now, the world oftentimes does represent closure, but it can represent that more foreign aspect whereby we travel to meet somebody or someone travels to meet us. It could be somebody from the past because of the Six of Cups. It is the main card we all associate with past people: nostalgia, memories, sweet times, innocence. So whenever it comes up as the outcome, I feel like it is very poignant to note that it may be someone who you have had dealings with before that has somehow exited the picture. But it doesn't have to be. There's very many variations of this card and interpretation. Sometimes when it comes up in the outcome, it is a signal that we need to address the past in order to move on from it. And with Venus retrograde, now Venus was retrograding in Scorpio, I think from the 5th of October until Halloween. So that was a long time in terms of past people. If people returned during that phase, that may have been old lovers. You may have had some closure in that, or you may be dealing with the ramifications of their return at the moment. It could also be with the Venus retrograding in Libra, which was from November 1st until the 16th, that you're dealing with people that you used to work with. There is a sense of nostalgia here that is taking great consideration from you, Taurus. And the Star card is offering this hope, which will make this a comfortable experience, I feel, rather than something which is traumatic for you. And if it has been traumatic for you, the Star is offering you that reprieve. Now, with the King of Wands, he is an interesting king to get because he's very entrepreneurial, he's very warm, he's very loving, he's very open about his feelings, rather than possibly the King of Cups, who is more of an observer until later on in the proceedings. But it seems to be the flowing of emotions which is the problem with the Ace of Cups here. So the offerings of emotions is not quite easy. Now we've 2 8s now, so something was walked away from. But this could also represent an actual move. So it could represent that you moved, possibly to study. Maybe that's where this connection's from. Maybe you moved for work, maybe you moved for university. And that's where this is, for this person. 5 of Pentacles. I do get the sense this is someone who was absent for a while, with the 5 of Pentacles there. There was an absence. 4 of Pentacles with the Star. You've held on hope. You've held a torch for this person, or you've held on hope for this situation. And the 6 of Swords is in the Challenge. So there was... For a lot of Taurus, I think you gave up on someone because they weren't giving you anything. There's the World again. This is a past life person. Now, I'm not a specialist in past life astrology or past life dealings or anything like that nature, but this combination does reveal past life association. So this could be someone who you knew in a past life. All these romantic feelings return for this person because you've known them before, and you have the nostalgia, even if you don't understand why exactly. But there is a very karmic aspect to this, and it seems to be in the field of wish fulfillment, which is interesting, Taurus. This is kind of a love story. It's very like the love stories you see in the movies. Do you know, where a guy meets girl, one of them has an issue, or one of them gets the wrong end of the stick and leaves, the other person goes looking for them, you know, that type of thing, that type of tripe. But in your scenario, it's much more real life. You know, you're not going to have Keira Knightley standing at a door listening to somebody play Christmas carols. But not that I don't love that movie, because I do. But this kind of looks to me as if, well, there's 2 different scenarios, Taurus. I'm going to put it 2 different scenarios. So say you're single, and say nobody's returned, and you don't have any past karma to deal with. That to me looks a little bit like there will be good times, there will be celebrations, there will be opportunities to travel. And you're going to be feeling much more optimistic this month. Now, the thing is, with the challenge of the Ace of Cups, I do wonder, the likelihood of meeting somebody brand new could be a bit of a challenge. And that will not be the case in December, okay? Because Venus is going to be moving into Scorpio and it's going to be in direct motion. So it gets another spin at that rather than going over the old drama of the past with the Venus retrograde period and releasing it. It's going to be in the direct motion of Scorpio, which is your partnership sector. So your chances of meeting somebody in December are quite high, Taurus. That is, what I would sort of suggest. So if you're worried about the last 2 weeks of November not meeting somebody, don't worry about it. Because December is quite well aspected in that regard. Also, Uranus has retrograded out of your sign into Aries, so there's a less of a shock factor. But with the Six of Cups in the world, I think a lot of you are being asked to move on from something or give yourself closure if you feel like you need it. If you feel like you need to release something in order to progress forward, because people don't truly manifest their dream person if they are holding a torch for somebody from the past, because then you're trying to manifest that person, and if you're trying to manifest that person and they're not a match for you, you're wasting a wish, you're wasting your energy. So that's not to say that can't be your person, maybe the timing's wrong, but you need to focus more on the feeling of having what it is that you want, because for a lot of you, and I think this is very much the case for most signs, because I have noticed there's this barrier that goes up. It's like people have shut down a little bit emotionally, and that's very typical for Scorpio season, which is why when the sun moves into Sagittarius, it's the more jovial side of the year. All the Christmas carols and the good tidings, etc., etc., etc. But for you, I think a lot of you are not going to run away from your feelings, and I think a lot of you do want closure. You just want to get over something or leave something behind, because you're blowing the cobwebs away on a feeling which has lingered, that's not manifesting as something, and it's going stale. The longer that it's there and nothing's happening and you're not seeing results, the more stale it feels. Those of you that have sort of got somebody back in your life, the question, of course, will always be, can you trust that person? Will it work? What was the issue before? Because I sense there was some emotional neglect if you are dealing with a past person who's either come back or you're pining for a past person. I see somebody who was quite good at turning their back on you. Or someone who was quite good at just suddenly disappearing or not giving you any emotion, because that's what the challenge is, okay? So when we deal with people like that, oftentimes we're mirroring ourselves. So if you come across somebody who doesn't give you the love and respect that you want from that person, that doesn't give you emotional fulfillment of any kind, or doesn't give you the attention you crave, then the chances are very, very, very high, Taurus, that you're not actually giving that to yourself. And our happiness shouldn't depend on somebody else and their presence. It should depend on what we give ourselves and what we fulfill ourselves with. You're working hard on something. You've got a dream. And this is a dream that's not related to love. You're holding on to this dream that you have in your life of what it is you want to do. And that's amazing. And you're going to have success with that. A lot of it. Provided you keep giving to yourself, because at the moment, you're not giving yourself that real, authentic admiration. You don't have to be, I think people associate that with being conceited. You don't have to be conceited, but you can be your own cheerleader. You can be your own best friend in order to progress in this lifetime. And that's actually the key to a lot of people's success and manifestations, because when you have self-love, although it is a cliche, you attract more of the same. And when you're not entirely feeling that way about yourself, the universe is going to send you people that are testing you. So they're going to come in and not love you the way you deserve to be loved. And your test is whether or not you accept that. If you accept that, they'll send you another one. If you accept that person, they'll send you another one. If you realize someone's not giving you what you want and you say, gosh, I deserve a lot more than this. I'm just going to cut my losses and wait for someone who will give me this. You'll get that person. There's a mirroring aspect to the Star card where, yes, there is wish fulfillment and there is hope, but she's looking at her reflection first and foremost. Something's being reflected back to her. And if she doesn't like what she sees, something has to change. Okay? And that sounds maybe a little bit of tough love, I don't know. But it is a great lesson to learn as a Venusian person, where you put so much value on love and romance and finances, etc. Here we have the Lovers, so we've crossed that bridge. It definitely was a fire sign for a lot of you. Oh, could have been an air. Very strong Aquarian streak, actually. Empress in the challenge, now that is you, okay? And the High Priestess, gorgeous. And the Sun. Okay, we've worked through something here, Taurus. We're getting somewhere. So with the Sun underneath, you're connecting to your power. Now this is in particular for females as well. You're connecting to your divine feminine. You're connecting to your self-respect where it has been lacking. For a lot of Taurus people, I think you've possibly been dealing with somebody who had a very fragile ego, somebody who is maybe vain. Now this isn't for everybody, so if you're cross-watching, please don't assume this is you. This could have been someone in Taurus's lifetime in their past that has a lingering presence, okay? So a lingering effect. So don't jump to conclusions. But the Empress in the challenge position suggests themes of vanity and self-loathing and not feeling confident or feeling, I guess it could be narcissistic, but I look more for the devil for that type of thing, but it could be possibly. I feel like you had to move on from a romance where you felt undervalued, most importantly. And as I say, this full moon in Gemini, we have the Lovers here and the King of Swords. Full moon in Gemini is going to illuminate for you where your worth is. You will notice around the 22nd, 23rd and 24th of November where your worth is, where you've leveled it, okay? Because the High Priestess as well is quite a good self-assessment. And beside the World card, which is things coming together in a sense of wholeness, you're willing to accept your shadow side. Now, I was talking to Aries about this too, so maybe you're a Taurus with a lot of Aries in your chart. But with the High Priestess, again, the divine feminine, the subconscious mind. The two pillars represent the duality of this lifetime, the duality of the person. You know, the dark and the light of a person, their shadow side and their higher side, you know, their higher self. And this High Priestess guards this gate, and you can't get past her unless you're prepared to go between the two. So you have to be more self-accepting, Taurus. And I know that sounds a little bit like I am preaching to you, but it's not that at all. It is that you have to accept your shadow side in order to illuminate yourself. The World card guarantees you this amazing success and this amazing completion. Tying up a loose ends, things coming together, but they rely on you releasing something from your past which has been weighing you down. And it is, for me, I can see that it's releasing a figure that did not love you the way you wanted to be loved, and that person has been a mirror to what is not working for you. There needs to be more self-acceptance of your dark side, of your shadow side. The more you listen to the intuitive side of your being, the more it works. And you knew with a person in your life that they were bad news. Or you knew with somebody in your life who undervalued you that they had a reason for that was personal to them, but you met each other for a reason. There was past life karma and you had to address it in order to progress in some way. Success is not just given to people. It doesn't just fall into their laps. Even people where that appears to be so have their own karma to be working for in this lifetime, their own things to work through. You rarely see a person in this world that has everything, do you? You know? You may think you do, but the High Priestess is letting you know that even if you see the most successful person, they still have this dark pillar. They still have this shadow side. They still have this darkness. Now, the good thing, Taurus, is that the sun's illuminating this amazing time period for you. And as I say, I do feel with the sun moving into Sagittarius on the 22nd, even though it's leaving your partnership sector, I actually think that it's bringing you something greater. It's bringing you this sort of channeling of your darkness into something constructive. So using your darker energy, you know, your Pluto energy or whatever it may be, and channeling it into your own self-success. Now, if you're dealing with an Aquarius, I actually think there seems to be a wrapping up of loose ends. There seems to be a trust there or a hope there. It doesn't feel like that situation is tainted per se. It may be for some of you, but the King of Swords is in the positive position. And I feel like if he has returned, you must listen to your intuition clearly and what it is trying to tell you and what it is trying to teach you. If you're dealing with a fire sign who was quite easy at turning their back on you, especially if it was a Leo, then you may finally be able to release that. Because for some of you, this has gone on a long time, this resentment towards that person. And you will probably be aware that resentment doesn't make you feel better. If anything, it stops you giving to yourself what it is that you really need in order to grow and mature. You know, what you need in life. You're not giving to yourself what you need. In focusing your energy on somebody from the past who has hurt you, you are living and dying by your own sword. You need to concentrate on giving yourself the best you can give and not remember too much, not reflect too much on that person's treatment because that was their own cross to bear. It's better to focus on what it is you learn from the person and look at it with serenity. And I think you're being granted that for some reason. It may have been that Venus had to go through retrograde for you to release something significant, Taurus, but there's this amazing success that comes as a result of it, you know? And it could be romantic, it could be career, but it's most importantly a foundation that you can build upon to be the best person you can be. These are very, very strong spiritual energies that are going on for you, Taurus, and I think in studying spirituality here and the metaphysical or astrology or tarot or whatever it is that gives you this sort of clarity maybe, or this insight into your own being, I think it's going to really assist you this month. Some of you are definitely clairvoyants watching this because the World and the High Priestess to me is massively clairvoyant, and you're better to be more self-accepting of your passions, of your desires. If you're really, really, really into astrology, because this is something that I kind of struggle with in day-to-day life, people being mistrustful of you because you like astrology or you like tarot or you like spirituality and you like reading about angels and things, and people can be very mistrusting of it, which is, you know, each to their own. You have to let people have their own belief system, and that's perfectly okay, but it can be quite challenging to your self-acceptance. And I think for a lot of you, you're kind of in that boat, you know? And you need to be entirely self-accepting, Taurus, because you have something here, and it could be in any field, it could be in any relationship. You have something that you have to channel. Endings and beginnings. The old must be released so that the new can enter. Well, that's poignant. Expect a miracle, Mother Mary. It always reminds me of that Beatles song, Let It Be. Have faith that your prayers have been heard and are being answered. Solis. bodies of water. Spend time near water such as the lake, river, or the ocean to recharge your batteries. So Taurus, there are the endings and beginnings. The World card signifies the successful completion of a cycle. You've done the work, you've made the effort. You've still got a little bit of way to go in the end of November, but you're coming out into December and then most importantly into the new year as the best version of yourself, which is where you really thrive, Taurus. You can expect a miracle. You can expect a prayer to be answered. Things are all happening for a reason, and you're being assisted. Endings are not there to hurt you. They're there to release you, and they're there to make you realize who you truly are and what it is that you're capable of. Put it this way, Taurus, if everything had been going smoothly up until this point, you wouldn't have achieved much. You think you would have, but you wouldn't. Taurus thrives in a challenge. And as a fixed sign, without challenges, you would have stayed in the same field for a long time. Change is what makes us grow. Fixed signs find it the hardest, but they're also the most successful at dealing with it. That's the irony of being a fixed sign. But you are more than capable, Taurus, of coming out of this as a more spiritual person, a more blessed person, a more aware person. And your choices will be different once you face them head on. So I hope you enjoyed that reading, Taurus, and I'll see you in December. Take care. Bye-bye.